Please welcome Carla.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And first of all, I'd like to know who knows something about digital curation. Okay? And who doesn't have a clue, and it's okay to say so, what it means? Okay, perfect. So we have like half and half. It's kind of a tie, which is exciting. And I hope to bring something new for the ones who already know something about digital curation. And for the ones just, starting, this is great to have you here. And I hope you feel excited as much as I do about this world of curation. And in fact, curation is not something new, yeah? If we think of an art gallery, that's what curators do. What do they do exactly? What does a curator do?
They select.
They select.
The art.
Organize.
They organize. What else? Huh? They exhibit, yeah? So in fact, if you think of a curator, any kind of curator, like an art curator, and I think digital curators are also art curators. If you think of an art curator, he really is the one, or she really is the one who gives meaning to a group of art, or like, for example, if you go to a Van Gogh exhibition then, you are going to have someone, a curator, who brings the best to you, to the audience. So the person is going to select something and make sense of this, world, to bring the best, to bring forward the best of, Van Gogh's art. And that's what we do. We try to make sense of things. We try to create new discourses, yeah? So then, content curation is nothing new, as I pointed out. And think about, for example, libraries, churches, and newspapers. What do they all have in common?
History.
Newspapers, churches, and libraries.
Archives.
Content.
Huh?
Archives.
They have lots of content, but they have an expert curator. There is someone there is an expert authority, the editorial team that decides what's going to be put forward for the public. Yeah? So in this case here, curation is old news. The librarian has always been a curator. The priest, yes, and the Vatican, they've always been curators. There have been wars because of content and because of the secrecy of knowledge, yeah? But then, my question to you is, what has changed in terms of content curation? What is new about it? Can somebody tell me? And why content curation has been such a buzzword, a trend nowadays? Can somebody help me?
So the volume of information?
What?
The volume of
information, yes, Graham.
Instead of coming top down from those responsible for an institution, it comes bottom up from...
So see, Graham could be here telling you more about this new trend. So content curation is nothing new. What's really something that the internet has powered up was that it changed the way we curate content. Because in the past, we had silos of knowledge. So we had the editorial team in the newspaper, we had the priests at the church, and we had the librarians, for example, yes, at the library. So we had the silos of knowledges with expert authorities. Nowadays, our social networks are our filters, yeah? And this is the big thing nowadays. And there is something very interesting about that is we don't, in the past with those institutions, it was knowing by excluding. As we excluded things, we needed to decide in our physical world what we were going to put forward. And then we had to eliminate lots of other things, right? Nowadays, it's the opposite. It's knowing by including. We are not excluding content, for example. We are just removing clicks. So the curators now help the audience, you know, to find and filter information for this audience. So it's not that we are excluding the content there, we are just removing clicks for the big public, yeah? And these are ideas come from a wonderful book from a guy called David Weinberger. I don't know if you know him. I'm a huge fan of his. And David Weinberger, he has a book called Everything is Miscellaneous. If you haven't read that, you should. And now he has a new book called Too Big to Know. And in his book, he says that knowledge now lives not just in libraries and museums and academic journals. It lives not just in the skulls of individuals. Our skulls and our institutions are simply not big enough to contain knowledge. Knowledge is now a property of the network. And the network embraces businesses, governments, media, museums, curated collections, and minds in communication. He says that knowledge is not in the expert, is not here in each one of us. Knowledge is in this room, in the network. And what we need to learn to do is to make those rooms in the network smarter. And that's what content curation does. In the past, some years ago, how many of you, like when you are searching for information, the first place you go to Google, for example. Who goes first to Google's? Mm-hmm. So I must say that this is the old way of searching for things. Yes, this is based on algorithm. Yeah. So Google puts forward like the first ones will be the most clickable ones, the paid ones. Yes. And it doesn't mean that the best content is over there. The best content is in our networks. And that's where we should find the content, yeah? So then, nowadays, the new trend in terms of content curation is really the match between interest and social graphs. Like, you decide which interests you have, and then you find your social, your social tribe, yeah? And join them to do this content curation. So now, this was just a quick background in terms of digital curation. Now you know all about it, yeah? And I could be here talking about, tons of, tools for curation and everything, but in 30 minutes we cannot do that. And digital curation goes from RSS feeds, passing through social bookmarks and interest social graphs, and platforms for curation. Today, I'm going to focus on some curatorial platforms, plus some ideas to work with that with your students, for example. So, of course, you may be familiar with some of those. For example, Pinterest nowadays is big. Yeah? How many of you know Pinterest? Oh, very good. And we have others that I want to emphasize here. But I want to start with one that I just love. And people who know me know that I love photography. And I don't know, do you know Flickr? Okay, many of you use Flickr. You look for photos on Flickr. But sometimes we miss the best of these platforms. Have you ever tried the Flickr Gallery? Ooh, great. So we have something new here. The Flickr Gallery, it's a feature in Flickr that you can curate other people's photos. So you create your own gallery. You can see here my galleries. So I have many digital galleries, yeah? And I use that with my students. So for example, you won't be able to read everything, but for example, I have the storytelling gallery. So I curate images from different photographers that I can use with my students, for storytelling. Or, for example, you can see one here. There is one about labor saving and home appliances over there. And in this one, I showed my students some home appliances we were studying, you know, there was the lesson in the book about, I think generally it's the passive voice that they're practicing, yeah? So then it was the chance that they had there to see wonderful images of home appliances, not the tiny ones that they have in the book. And home appliances that I could find like the best in different countries. So they were really excited about that. And in the galleries, you can also leave comments. And for example, in the storytelling one, I leave prompts to my students so that from there they can start their own stories. Yeah. So if you haven't tried Flickr Galleries, create your Flickr account. And then you can curate and you can make your own galleries, yeah? Now, one thing about the gallery is that you're not going to be able to curate your own thing. You're not going to create the gallery with your photos, yeah? Because this is not the principle of a curation thing. So then you curate photos from other people. Now, there is another curatorial platform that I just love for storytelling. Have you ever heard of Cowbird? Ooh, so this is exciting. Cowbird is a storytelling platform. People come here to tell stories, all kinds of stories. And then with your students, for example, they can make simple searches. Of course, I looked for men, yeah? Can you see my search there? Yeah? Best search ever. So then you can get like all kinds of stories, not related to men. You're not going to do that. But related to, you know, love, delight, water, whatever. And then your students can really find wonderful stories told by the community and based on topics. So they can search for specific topics, yeah? And once I've used that with, we were seeing the difference between used to and would. So then I found a wonderful story here and we worked in class with this story. I asked them to see how would was and used to was used in this were used in the sentences, and we could even spot like the mistake the native user did using would, yeah, and they could say like, oh, this is wrong, yeah. So this is really authentic material that you can use with your students. But most exciting about Cowbird is the fact that you can sprout stories. So what you can do there, you connect within the network, you start connecting to people there. And then if you see a story that is really interesting and you want to go from there, you can just get this story and then you sprout it. And the person that originally wrote the story knows that you are going to develop from there. Yeah, so it's really connected. So you can even have like a combined storytelling, like a network storytelling. And with your students, you can explore like if you see like on the right there, or yeah, on the right for you guys, you can see there that you can connect to people. You can connect by place that the story was written and by content, like the content area of the story, yeah? So Cowbird is another like storytelling curatorial tool that is really amazing. Now, most people are familiar with Pinterest, right? Pinterest is also, it's very good for us to curate information, but the only problem I find with Pinterest is that if you find a place where there is no image, you cannot put in Pinterest, yes? Except that there is a trick there that sometimes works, which is you put URL to pin it, and then you can get a photo, an image, and then you can pin it. But here, Pinterest, there are many things you can do with your students. For example, I made a search and I used the keyword to get this image. In pairs, very fast, I want you to try to figure out where this photo was taken and what keyword I used to get this photo, okay? Justine, you cannot say it because you know it. What keyword did I use? And where is it in the world? Okay, can you give me some hints? Can you give me some hints? Can you shout out?
Yeah.
Where? On the airport. Okay, good guess. Huh?
Subway.
Subway museum. Where in the world? Japan, Belize, what? China. Where? Where?
Saudi.
Oh, Saudi Arabia. Okay, yes. So can you see that just from this visual content here, we could have like lots of communicative tasks in class, yeah? Students are also dealing with visual literacy and critical thinking skills, yes? Now, what is the tag, the keyword that you think I used to make this search? Corridor.
Honeycomb.
Architecture.
Hall.
Beehive, hall. Okay, so my keyword, are you curious?
Yes.
My keyword was Brazil. Yes. Can you see the photo there? Yes. So, for example, Pinterest could be an excellent curation platform, yeah, to demystify stereotypes we have about certain countries. So this photo was taken in Brazil and it was curated as Brazil, okay? And as you can see, there are many things related to Brazil here in my search. And then we could ask our students, like we could develop this idea, like which photo really represents Brazil, like if you're talking to Brazilian students, yes? And you could have another group that is non-Brazilian students, like what do you think it really represents Brazil, yeah? So just by doing a simple search in Pinterest, you can have this wonderful like mosaic, cultural mosaic, yes? From people curating images and content that might be unexpected, yeah? And yes, I am from Brazil, and no, I do not speak Spanish, yeah? So this I found on Pinterest, okay? So I think with these platforms, you can really go beyond, you know, the textbook and really engage students in critical thinking skills. Now, this is one side of the curation platforms. I want now to consider learning playlists. Yeah? Have you ever heard of learning playlists, digital learning playlists? No? Okay, digital learning playlists, they are nothing else than, again, curation platforms in which you can add content, but then the content has like steps that the student or the teacher, organize to make the content relevant and learning relevant. In this case, have you ever heard of MentorMob? MentorMob is a platform, it's a learning playlist. You create a digital learning playlist. And in MentorMob, you can do two things there. You as a teacher, you can create a learning playlist for the student, so then the student can go step by step through a lesson, yes, in which you can add images, text, video, audio, all kinds of digital content. Or, even better, you can encourage your students to create learning playlists based on topics that they're studying or based on grammar, vocabulary, whatever you can dream of. Yeah? So here, for example, you can see that the student can go step by step, and it shows, like in the MentorMob site, it's going to show the student if he has finished all the steps. Like you can have 2 or 3 steps. For each step there is content, yes? And when the student finishes this learning playlist, it's going to be like 100%, 8 out of 8 steps finished. So it has great potential for the classroom, yeah? Another one that is now getting big, and I've just added this to my presentation because the first time I presented I didn't know about it, and it's learnist.com. It has wonderful content there, and again, it's a learning playlist that you decide how you're going to learn about certain things. So you can find ready-made content there, or you can prepare your own learning playlist for students, or even better, you can, in this case here, collaborate with students to create a learning playlist, okay? In Learnist, like for example, I have like many lists. I have like add interestingness, I have like neuroscience in education, all kinds of things that interest me. And that's exactly what, back to Google, that's how now I get my information. I go to these curation sites and I search for things that my network has already filtered, yeah? Of course, there is the danger of what we call the filter bubble, because if you are too entangled in the network, it means that you are going to be to have a certain perspective. One way out is be part of many networks, different ones. So, for example, I'm not just part of the educators network. I try to branch out in different networks and go around different places. Another fantastic learning list that you can use is themify.com. In themify.com, you can create a learning list there, but it's even better. In this case here, you grab the content from different social media spaces. You can add your own text and photos, whatever you want. Then it becomes a magazine. And your students can even download this magazine. Yes, it can become a downloadable document. It's really an amazing thing. And you can read it online and it flips just like a book. You can go like from there to different websites, yeah? So let me see if I can, let me see if it's, oh no, it didn't. I was going to try to show you. Yes, here I just recorded how it works, yes? You can flip the pages, so students can flip the pages through. You can add content, but you can also just grab content from the web. Yeah, you can share this book with other people online. You have like all kinds of features, like you can go straight to the page if it's a hyperlink. Yeah, so many possibilities there. Now, and then you can ask me, what do you think it's worth exploring if I'm starting? These are all great tools. One that I think it's really fantastic is Scoopit. Yeah, there are many educators in Scoopit, and they have already really curated many wonderful tools and ideas, resources for the English classroom in general, in all kinds of topics. So, for example, this page here is one that I have for e-learning and m-learning. And just like this one, there are tons of websites that you can really check out. Another one, and I love cross-platform curation, curatorial cross-platform. So in this case, Trapit is also very powerful because Scoopit as well. Scoopit, Pinterest, this one, Trapit, you can have it on your cell phone, on your tablet. You can check it online, all your traps. For example, this one here, I just say that I'm interested in getting information about neuroscience in education, m-learning, whatever, assessment. So then I create something that is called traps, yeah? So then the content gets to me. And this is another difference, because in general, when you go to Google, you are pushing there, you are pushing. When you use those sites, you are pulling things to you. You don't need to go there. They come to you. And this is a change of mindset that we really need to be aware of. Yeah? So it's not looking for content, it's letting the content come to you, and then you decide what you are going to use and what you are going to throw away. Yeah? Another one, similar to the, if you are familiar with Flipboard, are you familiar with Flipboard? Yes? Flipboard is a wonderful iPad. Nowadays they have iPad, iPhone. I think it's also in Android. Am I right? Yeah. It's also cross-platform. Flipboard was one of the first that really enhanced the user experience in tablets. Yeah. Nowadays there are other ones that you can use. And I would recommend you check Zite out because it's lighter than Flipboard. So it loads really fast and you can share things really fast. Yeah? And I think I'm going to finish here with my last two ones that I really enjoy. This one is, not many people know about it. It's called LTSIG. And I get their newsletter, and I can also check things online. And it's just, the guys there, they just curate so much information that I can't really process. Like in one newsletter that I get, I try to focus on one thing that they're talking about. Because they talk about, they give like an overview of the educational world in one newsletter, big newsletter. It's just an amazing curatorial group team, and they bring forward many interesting ideas. And a very simple one, like for if you are looking for, like, you know, the next tool that you are going to try out with your classes, or maybe you know, the next tool that you need for video or something like that. You should check out the EduTaker platform. You can see it online, and I have the app here. So as you can see here, this is a screenshot from my app. So the network, they put like all different kinds of tools, web tools that you can use with students. So when we think of curation, there is a whole new set of curatorial platforms. And if you don't know this guy, his name is Robin Good. He's the curator master. The man is completely insane. Yes, he's a crazy Italian guy. And well, just to give you an idea, this is what he has been mind mapping in terms of curatorial platforms and sites. It's just insane. Just to let you know, yeah?
How is he called? Sorry.
Robin Good. Yeah, he does really good to the community. It's amazing what he does, yeah? So he's been curating a lot of, you know, the curatorial platforms. So just for you to have an idea of how much is out there and how much we are missing as educators, as professionals, and even for our personal lives in terms of content that can get to us and not us going to Google, okay? So just to finish up, I really consider that we as educators, we are digital archaeologists. Not that we are old and looking for old stuff, but in the sense that we are digging the best, like the treasure, for us teachers and for our students. We are digging and getting the treasure out there that is like this information overload, yes, that we have nowadays. So our role as educator is really to help our students as well dig this information in the right places. This is really a challenge, but this is something we should start doing for us and for our students. And in order to do that, in order to become a curator, we need to seek information, we need to make sense of the this information that we get. And mainly, we need to be part of the network, because the network is very generous with us if we give our share. If not, we will feel lonely and alone, yeah? So if you start curating content and sharing this content with the public out there, things will get back to you in very meaningful and magic ways. So use the power of the network to continuously learn and to give your share. Thank you. I've left some cards in the back, so if you want to grab the cards, all this slideshow is out there, so you can just grab them.